unarmed. They were completely innocent. They were just only going to deliver a food for the desperate civilians who are suffering from the famine, suffering from the starvation and famine in Gaza. So these things, it's showing how much Israel, and this is not the only first time. And if we will go back in 2010, when Israel intercepted the Marmara Flotilla and killed several of activists, among of them Turkey civilians and Turkey activists. Israel doesn't care about it, and doesn't. After 5 years, Israel apologized about the action, and it's make a scandal for Israel. And today there is no scandal for Israel, as it's acting with the impunity and no punishment. And also Benjamin Netanyahu, worth mentioning that it's wanted by ICC, I mean the International Criminal Code, and still he's free and traveling here and there. So the things is also the most important, the description. I mean, how the Ben Gvir, the infamous minister of in Israel, he described this activist by terrorist. This is the huge catastrophe, I guess, and this is the things. It's a warning point about anyone will support Palestine and will support the civilians who are suffering from this war and the casualties from this war. May they will consider him or her as a terrorist. This is a huge point.
All right, so I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking further updates. We're now learning that thousands of demonstrators have gathered outside the Israeli embassy in Athens to protest against Israel's interception of the flotilla that was carrying aid to Gaza. The protesters have urged the Greek government to condemn Israel's actions and have called for the immediate release of all individuals detained. Israel is facing international condemnation and protests, especially after all 40 boats of the flotilla were intercepted. Let's in fact listen in to what some of the protesters in Athens have had to say.
Απαιτούμε και την απελευθέρωσή τους, απαιτούμε από το ελληνικό κράτος να παρέμβει αυτή τη στιγμή για να γυρίσουν πίσω και να κόψει κάθε οικονομική, διπλωματική, πολιτική και πολιτισμική και οικονομική σχέση με τον κράτος δολοφόνο και να κλείσει η πρεσβεία των δολοφόνων των σιωνιστών. Γι' αυτό είμαστε και έξω από την πρεσβεία και τη διαδηλώνουμε ελευθεριά στην Παλαιστίνη από το ποτάμι ως τη θάλασσα. From the river to the sea. Ο στόλος αυτός ήταν ξεκάθαρα μια πράξη αλληλεγγύης, ξεκάθαρα μια πράξη ειρήνης, με κανένα άλλο όφελος και συμφέρον. Οι άνθρωποι διακυβεύουν την ασφάλειά τους, την ίδια τους την ύπαρξη και πέτυχαν το ασύλληπτο. Να φτάσουν τόσο κοντά στη Γάζα και να δώσουν το ηχηρό μήνυμα ότι οι κοινωνίες και οι λαοί είναι με το δίκιο. Οι κοινωνίες και οι λαοί ξέρουν ότι αυτό το κράτος είναι ξεκάθαρα δολοφόνος. Αυτό θα σταματήσει. Δεν θα το ανεχτούμε πλέον. Καμία συμμετοχή στη γενοκτονία, καμία συμμετοχή, καμία συνεργασία με το κράτος δολοφόνου. Εδώ και τώρα θέλουμε να νικήσει.
With us on the broadcast is Mr. Ali Mohammed Abushbak. We've heard what some of the protesters have had to say. In fact, that is not all that has in fact transpired. We've also now learned that 20 foreign journalists have been arrested by the Israeli forces. And yesterday as well, one of the medics from Doctors Without Borders, who was an occupational therapist, he was killed while waiting for a bus in Deir al-Balah. Now the death toll is mounting, civilian casualties are rising as well. Journalists and doctors are also amongst those who've lost their lives. What is the need of the hour? How crucial is it to establish a ceasefire?
It's a very tough question, and I don't know about the ceasefire. Now we are waiting for the Hamas response about the 20 point that floated by Donald Trump. So the thing is, on the ground, Israel is not going to show its willingness for the ceasefire and the peace on the ground. And the thing is about the protests, It's a widely, we have witnessed several capitals in entire the world. They are protesting against the intercept of a flotilla, and there is a several of opposition. Government opposition. They are calling to expel the Israelis diplomatic and Israelis ambassador in their area, in their lands, like France and like Norway, a several of countries. They are calling for urging for the expel the Israelis diplomatic. So, in my opinion, Israel has no audacity. So it doesn't care about the diplomatic. It doesn't care about the reputation. The things is, and we have seen the only casualties from the civilians, children, women, and it's not about only doctors and civic defense civic in Gaza. So the things is more complicated. I'm not optimist about the ceasefire on the ground very soon, and I guess Hamas need long time to study the proposal and study this plan. So the things also Israel among of these atmosphere, Israel still insists to completely devastated Gaza City and any area the Palestinians settle down in. And after Gaza City, they are going to Deir al-Balah to, ask the people to flee Deir al-Balah and evacuate it to other area, to south, definitely. And they will sandwiching the civilians and sandwiching the all Palestinian and the Gazians in one area. And after that, I guess this is the plan to departure the civilians from Gaza Strip. So we are among of, catastrophe, and this is a huge things. I don't know that the international community what they are waiting for. It's like we have witnessed the tsunami of and the wave of recognition of Palestinian statehood, but on the ground, Israel will not let the Palestinians establishing their statehood. And they are going to seize several of lands from Gaza, from West Bank, and they are going to departure the civilians, pressurizing the civilians to leave their land and home. So this is the huge things for the peace, according to all the international community and the countries. They consider two-state solution one of the significant point for a peace process between Palestinian and Israel, and this is in particular, and then generally in Middle East. But Benjamin Netanyahu, he was clear about it. He said, "I will not let," and he pledged that he will not let the Palestinians establish their statehood. So the thing is, I'm not optimist about a ceasefire or a peace process between Palestinian and Israel. And even if Hamas did whatever Israel and Donald Trump they want, and they will apply everything, they will find several of excuses to attack the Palestinian and the civilians. We have seen that only casualties are civilians, and less from military and Hamas. And the aim of this war to release the hostages. How much Israel, or how many Israel released hostages after the military pressure? Just only negotiation is one tool to release the hostages from Gaza, and military pressure since past 2 years. How many? 3 just only from Al-Nusayrat. They are in special forces. They are releasing 3 Israeli hostages in Al-Nusayrat in 2024, I guess.
Right.
So, this is the point. And this is, also the Israeli community. There is several of a protest in Israel itself, and against Benjamin Netanyahu and against this war. They realize this truth, that Benjamin Netanyahu taking the war as a benefit advance for himself and for politician purposing for himself only, and to maintain his government coalition. We have seen today how much this is ugly face of this government coalition, when you are calling civilians and describe them as a terrorist just only because they are going to save children and women, desperate civilians, going to send them a food, going to send them a treatment, a medicine. Just only that what the Palestinians they want. They don't want anything except just only food. Nowadays, on the ground, everyone desperate, everyone disappointed. There is no hope for them. As I mentioned many times here in your broadcast, I said Palestinians, they are wishing, waiting for the moment they will killed. There is no hope. There is no future. They are not thinking about their future. We are talking about 2 million of civilians, and 2 million of them, they are suffering from trauma and complex trauma also, who's at invisible injury. So, and more than 5,000 Palestinians, they are suffering from the amputation.
Yes.
So on the ground, it's a very difficult Usuma for ceasefire. I'm not optimist about this point, and just only we have a hope one day something will change, and both of them, Israeli and Hamas, they will reach to, to deal and end by peace between both of them, and that's what we want. And a socio-political, peaceful coexistence between both of them. This is what we hope.
Yes. All right. With that, I would like to thank you, sir, for taking our time and